Matadero. Tomamos el rock por las astas.
Question number 1. Brian, your career combines your work as a vocalist in tribute bands and your original music. At what point did you feel you had truly found your identity as an artist?
Well, to be honest with you, I feel like I haven't fully found my identity as an artist yet, and I feel like that's kind of the whole part of being an artist, is slowly figuring all of that out. I mean, I've always kind of worn my influences on my sleeve. I've always been into 80s hard rock music and all that great stuff, but I've picked up a lot of different types of music over the years. Like I like a lot of pop music. I like a lot of really heavy music. Like I've been listening to a lot of Pantera lately. I like some electronic music. I'm really into Steely Dan now all of a sudden. In the past year, I've just become this huge Steely Dan freak and stuff. So I kind of just put all those together in a blender and stuff, and I pick up pieces here and there. I like everything from Lady Gaga to Slipknot. So it all kind of just comes together over time. But my roots are 80s hard rock music.
Creative process. When you compose, do you start with a melody, a rhythmic idea, lyrics, or simply an emotional state? Do you have any pre-creative rituals?
I would say I most always start with a guitar riff. Most of the time my biggest ritual is I turn on one of these Marshalls, crank those 4 speakers up loud, turn on a drum loop, and I just kind of start jamming. And then eventually it's almost like going fishing. I just sit there and wait until I catch on to something. And then as soon as I find something I like, I kind of just stick to that, and I keep working off of that over time. And then I walk away from it a little bit, and I let the idea kind of go through my head and stuff. And, sometimes I keep working on this stuff, but it's usually the ideas that I can't get out of my head, and I just keep building and building, either when I'm driving or when I'm just screwing around on my laptop or whatever. It's those songs, or you're in the shower and you've got a song idea in your head. So I would say it's most of the time starts with the guitar riff, drum beat, and then eventually I'll walk away from it. I'll start hearing vocal ideas, and I'll try to figure out what the song is about. And then it kind of just, it's like almost like it's like chiseling a statue. Eventually you have a general idea of what it's going to be like, but you gotta like chisel it out of the rock. So that's my process.
Do you remember the exact moment you decided that music wasn't just going to be a hobby, but your way of life?
So I discovered Aerosmith when I was in 2nd grade because of the movie Mrs. Doubtfire. There's a scene where a dude looks like a lady is playing in it, and ever since, I call that my crack pipe moment. Like that was the first moment I took a hit of the crack pipe of rock and roll, and ever since then, I was just really obsessed with Aerosmith. And I would say I got a guitar when I was 12 years old, and I was never good at anything before I started playing guitar. And as soon as I got that guitar and I started learning KISS songs and Aerosmith songs, that was really the moment where I was like, I think by 14 I was like, I want to be a professional guitar player. Before that, I wanted to be a singer before I even started playing guitar, but I didn't have the confidence to try vocals at the time. So then eventually I got into guitar, and then I would say by about 14 I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do with my life for sure.
All right. Your songs have a very particular and vibrant spirit. Which bands or artists most influenced your musical development?
Well, for sure KISS. I basically learned how to play guitar, learning KISS riffs and Ace Frehley guitar solos and stuff. And then as soon as I developed a little bit more chops, I started to learn a little bit of like the 80s KISS stuff, and learned some cool like the Tears Are Falling guitar solo was a cool one for me, or I learned Crazy Crazy Nights. I don't know if I would remember how to play them exactly now, but yeah, I basically started with Ace Frehley, Bruce Kulick. I was really into Aerosmith too, so all the great Joe Perry, Brad Whitford guitar parts. Just absolutely love those. And then I got into Van Halen and Motley Crue, so big fan of Eddie Van Halen, big fan of Mick Mars. And then, but even while I was practicing guitar, when I wasn't quite a singer yet, I was always really drawn to lead singers. And I was really influenced by Steven Tyler, Paul Stanley, Sebastian Bach, all the greats of the 70s and 80s hard rock music and stuff. And yeah, I would say that I have a top five. I have my top five favorite bands are KISS, Aerosmith, Van Halen, Motley Crue, and Skid Row. Those are my big five. Never moves from those top five. Maybe one day I like Motley Crue a little bit more than Van Halen, or maybe there's even some days where I like Aerosmith more than KISS or whatever. But it's always that top five: KISS, Aerosmith, Van Halen, Motley Crue, and Skid Row. Those are my guys for sure.
Current sound. In your recent work, there's a blend of 80s energy and modern freshness. What elements of classic rock do you want to retain? And which do you want to reinvent in your music?
Well, above anything, it's all about the hooks. It's all about the melody, the big choruses. My favorite thing about old school hard rock music is, it's got great melody, gets caught in your head, but also it's got that punch that I feel like 80s hard rock music is the perfect combination of melody and just like attitude and aggression. Everything's raw, over the top. I don't really know of anything that I'd want to get rid of from that type of music. Just there's stuff that I like to add to it. So I went through a really big phase where I was into stuff like Kesha and Tovlo and all this cool female electronic pop music and stuff. So some of the songs on my first album, Only Jams, they have a little bit of an electronic backbeat underneath with still plenty of like big 80s rock guitars, and then all of the all the big 80s rock guitars and all the high-pitched vocals and big raspy vocals, and just big layered harmonies and stuff. That's the sound that I like. But I also love the attitude of, like, I'm a big fan of Rick James, so I try to add a little bit of that energy in there from time to time. I'm a big fan of Prince, so some of my music will, especially like there's a song on Only Jams called Down in My Soul that gets a little electronic from time to time. There's a little bit of Rick James and Prince in there. That song's probably like the biggest blender of all of my different influences outside of 80s hard rock music. But the meat and potatoes of my music is always going to be, the top five food groups: KISS, Aerosmith, Van Halen, Motley Crue, and Skid Row, baby. That's what it's all about. But yeah, I've been, like I said earlier, I'm really into Steely Dan now, so I've been experimenting with some new chord voicings and different types of harmony that I've never gotten into before. So always trying to add new flavors to the recipe, baby. So yeah, gotta mix it up a pot, make it spicy.
Voice and style. You're known for your powerful voice. How do you take care of your voice while on tour, and what challenges do you face when performing such intense styles?
Well, for starters, thank you for the kind words on my voice, and thank you for recognizing that it's not always so easy to sing this type of rock music. But how do I take care of it while I'm on tour? I kind of, as much as it kind of sucks sometimes, and also I'm not always the best at taking care of it. I try to be careful of like how much I'm talking, I try to stay hydrated, drink tons of water. I add supplements to the water. I take collagen and magnesium just so I can sleep, because sleep is one of the most important things on the road. And that's probably the biggest challenge I face while I'm on the road, is not getting enough sleep, because we're always on the go. And then after the shows, it's just so hard to sleep because you spend all this time rocking and just having a good time and stuff. So after the show, it's kind of really hard to come down afterwards. I have to be very careful. I love to party. I love to drink and have a good time and stuff, but I got to be really careful about when I pick and choose my spots, especially the older I get. I have to be a little bit more mindful of that. So, biggest things, warming up. Warming up is the most important thing for keeping my voice in check. I got this thing right here. It's called the Dr. Vox. I just kind of do some scales through that a lot of times, maybe about 10 minutes, get things going, and then start doing some other vocal exercises to wake up my chest voice and my head voice and my mix, for all the vocal nerds out there, the different spots of the singing voice, and then kind of start doing some light songs, and then it's time to rock. So yeah, sleep, water, supplements, try not to get sick, although I feel like I get sick every other month, it feels like, and that's always tough. But yes, get as much sleep as you can, drink as much water as you can, know when it's time to say no to Jack Daniels and when it's time to say yes to Jack Daniels. There's a time and a place for everything. But yeah, that's how I take care of my voice on the road.
Live performances. You have a very strong stage presence. Thank you very much. What does the audience evoke in you when you're face to face with them? And how does your performance change depending on the atmosphere or the venue?
I try as much as I can to make my performance not change depending on the atmosphere or the venue, meaning that even if there's a small crowd, usually Hairbangers Ball is performing to crowds the size of about like 300 people or so indoors, and then when we get into festival season, we'll usually be performing for 1,000, maybe 2,000 people at a festival over the summer. So the crowd sizes definitely change, and sometimes we have a weeknight, where maybe there's only 100 people at the venue, or maybe it's a rainy day at the festival and only a handful of people came out. So the thing I try the most to do is to give the same energy and intensity in every performance. But obviously, there's some nights where you're just a little bit more inspired than others. The crowd's going crazier. Then you do feed off the crowd a little bit, even though you want to treat a small bar where you're basically just performing to the bartenders and the band's girlfriends. You want to treat that just like Madison Square Garden. Sometimes Madison Square Garden would be a little bit more inspiring, wouldn't you think? So I typically, the big thing I do is I always try to outdo myself every performance. I always try to, even if it's not an ideal type of night, I always know that I can be better, and I always know that there's spots in the set that I can improve in. So I always try to take things to the next level in those moments and just challenge myself. See if maybe I can sing this line a little bit cleaner, or maybe I can sustain this note a little bit longer. Or maybe I can sing this line a little bit dirtier. Who knows? But and then the other thing is I try to, I'm pretty inspired by my bandmates. I'm very lucky to be playing with the amazing musicians in Hairbangers Ball that also. The guys from Hairbangers Ball help me out with my solo music too, and they're all true pros, and we've played hundreds of shows together. So I'm very inspired by those guys at all time because they're dead nuts tight. And then from a frontman standpoint, I like to make the crowd laugh when I can, and then if they're, even if there's not that big of a crowd there, or maybe the crowd's a little standoffish that night, if I can't make the crowd laugh, I try to make myself or my bandmates laugh. So that's how I try to treat them all the same. The special ones bring more out of you, and then I'm very blessed to just have a really great band of musicians with me at all times.
Relationship with your fans. Many artists talk about the special bond they create with those who have followed them from the beginning. What excites you most about connecting with your fans?
The biggest thing is hearing them sing the songs back. That was one of the things that I enjoyed the most about playing in cover bands in the beginning. Is it's one big party. I was used to playing, all different types of venues in original bands before Hairbangers Ball, and sometimes it would be, you'd be playing songs to people where maybe they don't know your songs yet or anything. Like, you're out on tour in North Carolina and there's a room packed full of people, but they don't know your songs yet or anything. So, they'll clap in between, they'll cheer and stuff, but during their songs, they're more kind of watching you. Whereas playing for a cover band, they know the words, it's one big party. And that was one of the exciting things for me when I started playing my original music again, opening for Hairbangers Ball, is how much the Hairbangers Ball fans embraced my original music and clearly went home and listened to the songs and stuff. And they showed at my first solo show, there was like a couple of times where like I had to like stay in the zone and stay collected and stuff, because there was a couple of times I felt myself getting a little emotional because I realized that these people cared and they really actually listened to the music and stuff. And so I like, from a general performance standpoint, I like when, people are engaged with the show, put the phones down and living in the moment, rocking and rolling with you. And then also, it means even more to me when I can tell people spent time with the music outside of the show, and they could have been listening to anything else. They could have been listening to a podcast. They could have been listening to all of the great music that's existed for all these years. And I come to a show and I see them singing my songs, and I know they took the time, a lot of time, because it takes a lot of time to get lyrics stuck in your head. So it really, really means a lot to me when I see people singing the words to my songs. That is what really keeps me motivated. And that's what, I'm always humbled by these people that follow my band. So yeah, love you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, about Buenos Aires. This will be your first visit to Buenos Aires. What are your feelings before the trip, and what are your expectations for playing in front of the Argentine audience, famous for its passion?
All right, about Buenos Aires. This will be your first visit to Buenos Aires. What are your feelings before the trip, and what are your expectations for playing in front of the Argentine audience, famous for its passion? Well, for starters, I'm a big collector of rock concert DVDs, and without question, the audiences in South America, and particularly Buenos Aires and Sao Paulo, Brazil, those cities, they bring a whole different energy. I've got footage of bands like KISS and Iron Maiden and Aerosmith. I've got all these great concerts on DVD, and it's a whole other level than any country I've ever seen. Every culture is different, but there's something about Buenos Aires, Argentina, that you guys just take it to another level, and the passion is just so intense. And the thing that I love most about the crowds in South America is not only do they sing the lyrics to the song in another language, not only are they singing the lyrics to the song, they're singing the riffs to the guitar parts. So I remember the first time I saw KISS playing in Argentina on a concert DVD, and KISS started playing Deuce, and the main riff of the song kicks in, and all of a sudden the crowd is going, oh, it blew me away. I would absolutely die to hear some of that in person. I hope I get the chance to hear it. We'll see. I'm really looking forward to playing at Liverpool on Friday, February 20th. Also, one of my best friends growing up, Alejandro Sparavecchia, he shout out to you, brother. His family's from Buenos Aires, and you guys just have just such a deep love and respect for this type of rock and roll music, and I can't wait. There's a reason I'm getting on a flight for 14 hours to rock with you people, because I know it's going to be worth it, and I know it's going to be the time of my life. So I can't wait to play for all of you people and just experience that energy in person for myself. I've watched it for years, and I can't wait to have the experience to play for all you guys.
Okay, upcoming show. For those who will be at your first concert in the city, what can you tell us? Will there be surprises, new songs, or a special focus on the local audience?
Well, for starters, these shows are going to be really special too, because I'm going to be playing with Marcelo from Rock Life and Louder and Spanish Fly. I can't, and we're gonna have a local bass player and a local drummer, and so I'm really excited to meet my Argentine band for the very first time. I'm really excited to rehearse with those guys and get to know them. And it's going to be exciting. I've watched videos of these guys. I know they're great musicians. Really, really good musicians. I can't wait to share with the stage with them. So in terms of surprises and new songs, we're going to be playing some of my original music, and then we're also going to be playing some of the greatest songs of the 80s. So, the guys and I have already decided which original songs of mine we're going to play. But I'd love to hear from you guys what your favorites are. Of course, we're going to play "Don't Let Go." That's my most successful original song of any of the bands I've ever been in, whether it was Love Blast or Hairbanger's Ball or my solo music. "Don't Let Go" has gotten the most listens on any of the streaming websites, most downloads from iTunes out of all of them, and the most views for me on YouTube. So we're definitely going to be doing "Don't Let Go," and then some of my other solo songs. We'll have to wait to see which ones those are going to be. I think we picked the right ones though. And then we're going to be playing some really cool. We're even going to be playing some songs that I haven't had a chance yet to play with Hairbanger's Ball. Some cover songs. There's one of my songs. One of the cover songs that we're going to be doing is a song that I've done it before in Love Blast way back in 2008 or something like that, but I'm a much better singer now than I was back then, and I can't wait to play these songs with this amazing band of Argentine musicians. It's gonna be really exciting. There's some little extra touches that Marcelo and I have talked about doing in one of the cover songs. Maybe you'll see a little guitar duel. I don't know. We'll see if I can hang. I don't know. Marcelo's a great guitar player, so I'm really excited to play with him. But yeah, there's I think the biggest surprise is probably going to be for me, just to get to play for such a wild and crazy rock and roll audience. So yeah, I cannot tell you enough how excited I am for this. I cannot tell you how honored I am to be invited to play for the Argentine audience. This is a dream come true for me. Like I said, I've always collected concerts, and some of the best concert DVDs that I have, without question, are in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The audience is just, they're on that next level, man, and I can't wait to see it. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for, asking these great questions. These are really, really good questions. It's very exciting. Thank you guys so much. You guys made me feel like $1 million. So I can't wait to see you on February 20th at Liverpool in Buenos Aires. And then also shout out to Sao Paulo, Brazil, on February 28th at House of Legends. And also shout out to all of my friends back in Chicago and the Midwest in the United States, because I've heard through the grapevine that some of them are so excited about these shows that they're actually going to be traveling to South America to see them. So I'm really blessed, and I'm really thankful to have all of the great people in my life and all of the great opportunities, and I thank God for all of you guys every day. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Bye.